Hello and welcome back, Computer Science 40S. This is Greenfoot, Chapter 3. This is Section 3.4. We may move on to 3.5. We'll see how long this takes me. In this previous few sections, we've added new behavior to the crab, turning at the edge of the world, occasionally random turns, and eating worms. If we continue to do this in the way that we've done so far, the act method will become longer and longer and eventually really hard to understand. We can improve this by chopping it up into smaller pieces. Now, this should make you think of back to Liberty Basic or even Bob and Scratch, blocks and subroutines and functions. So this concept is a fundamental concept throughout computer science, throughout any computer programming, is to chunk it down into smaller and smaller pieces. So let's see how this works in Greenfoot. We can create our own methods in the crab class for our own purposes. For example, instead of just writing some code that looks for a worm and removes it into the act method, we can add a new method for this purpose. To do this, we first have to decide on a name for this method. Let's say we're going to call it look for worm. We can then create a new method by adding the following code. So public void look for worm. You can read it right there. The first 4 lines are a comment. And so yes, here it is. The comments that we've all enjoyed so much over the years. Not just me, everybody uses it. Use comments. First 4 lines are a comment. Comment is ignored by the computer. It's written for human readers. We use a comment to explain to other human readers what the purpose of this method is. When we define this method, the code does not immediately get executed. In fact, by just defining this method, it does not get executed at all. We are just defining a new possible action, looking for a worm that can be carried out later. It will only be carried out when this method is called. We can add a call to this method inside the act method, look for worm. Note that the call has the parentheses for the empty parameter list. The complete source code after this restriction is shown in code 3.3. So I'm going to head and I'm going to do this now. So if it's at edge, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep this part. We're going to have the move 5. We're going to change this to look for worm. So right here, I'm going to say look for worm. It's going to be the name of my method, which is not defined right now. And when I go down here, it's going to say that there's an error there. Cannot find symbol because I haven't defined it. Now, let's just copy this right here because we're going to use it later. Okay, and then down here, we're going to have our new method. Now, I don't think we've talked about comments yet. So the start of a comment is this simple here, the slash with the double stars. I think I got it in the wrong spot. Oh, unclosed comment. So it might help to do this. The closing of the comment is star like that. And you'll notice that I made a few spelling mistakes in there, but I really don't care. And every comment line needs to start with another star. So let's do this. And then we're going to define it as public void. Remember, the void means that it does not return anything. It's like a subroutine. Oh, this is the part that I can copy and paste, isn't it? Now you notice that the coloring here is all wrong, so we're going to have to do some fixing up there. And the coloring actually helps us quite a bit to do that. Should have the right number of braces there. And all of this needs to be put inside the green. So I think all of this, I'm going to cut that out and I'm going to put it in here. And let's see if that works. So it should do the same thing as what I did before. You'll notice that crab here is still not compiling. So I have an error somewhere. Oh, I've got look for worm here. Cannot find symbol. Is it spelled the same? It's not. That's the reason. And yay, it compiles. So let's just see here. Let's make a few crabs, a few worms. It should do exactly the same thing as before. All we've done is just convert it into a new method. And there we go. Perfect. Okay. So now you notice here that it's a little indented, a little bit wrong here. We should be able to tab that over. Not that big of a deal. Not really sure how to get that yellow to move over. We have a auto layout. Yeah, if we go auto layout, then that actually cleans that up for us. So nicely done. Okay, so that's the bottom of page 39. Of page 40. Note that this code change does not change the behavior of the crab at all. It just makes the code easier to read in the long run. As we add more code to the class, methods tend to become longer and longer. Longer methods are harder to understand. By separating our code into a number of shorter methods, we make the code easier to read. And you can use that code later on too, somewhere else, just like we learned in Liberty Basic. Create another new method named random turn. This method has no parameters and returns nothing. Select the code that does the random turning and move it from the act method to the random turn method. Then call this new random turn method from your act method. Make sure to write a comment for the method. So what they want you to do is they want you to convert all of this random turn stuff into a specific method on your own. So I would suggest you pause the video here, give that a try on your own. If you need some help, I'm going to show you how to do it right away. Okay, so hopefully you tried that on your own. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to our act method and we're going to change return at edge. We've got that. That's the one that we have to actually turn into a method. Okay, so we're going to create two methods here. We're going to have one that says turn at edge. So I'm going to do this, copy that, cut it down here. Paste that in. Okay, so this is our new one here. So we're going to have to call this public void. And we're going to call this turn at edge. Brace. And we're going to end that section there. So that is our new one there. Oh, and well, let's just copy that. That's going to go up here in our act. Semicolon there. Okay, so that should work now. Everything about that is good. We just need to really have a comment here. So let's do that. And seeing as I put it in the right spot and I have the auto layout turned on, it's doing this nicely for me here. So this is basically just makes the, oops, wrong spot. Makes the crab turn at the edge of the world. Okay. No syntax errors. Let's see if it works over here. And it works good. Okay. So now that you've seen that, you might be able to try the other one on your own. If not, I'll show you how to do that in a second. If you want to try it on your own, pause the video. Okay, so the last one is the random turn. And that is this bit right here. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut that out. And I'm going to type in here random turn is by method. And I'm going to create that down here in the appropriate spot. That's my if. It's called random turn. Make sure you spell it right. Oh, I'm expected to put public void. No, I need a brace right there. That's what the problem was. Another one there. This should probably be indented like so, and comment. And the comment is makes grab do a random turn. Obviously the comments, in a case like this where it's called random turn, you really should have a comment in there, although it's pretty obvious exactly what's going on here. Okay, so I'm hoping that that will compile. It seemed to. Create some worms first. Crabs. Awesome, away we go. Okay, so we haven't really changed a lot here. All we've done is cleaned up our code a little bit, creating new methods or subroutines, if you will, from Liberty basic vocabulary. So I'm going to stop there, and then I'll make the next video 3.5, adding a lobster right away. If you haven't done so, you should go back to the worksheet and fill in some questions, and then I'll talk to you soon.